A natureza. O universo. Será que tudo isso veio do nada? O universo se criou sozinho? Ele sempre existiu? Viemos do nada e voltaremos para o nada? Tudo que vemos, sentimos, experimentamos é fruto do acaso? A ciência pode nos dar todas as respostas que buscamos? Não! Então qual é a melhor explicação para tudo isso?
No princípio, criou Deus os céus e a terra. Fui eu que fiz a terra, e nela criei a humanidade. Minhas próprias mãos estenderam os céus. Eu dispus o seu exército de estrelas.
O quê? Deus? Bíblia? Esqueça essas coisas. Isso é coisa de religioso fanático. A ciência prova que Deus não existe e que a Bíblia está errada. Bom, vamos ver o que alguns cientistas disseram.
Isaac Newton diz: a maravilhosa disposição e harmonia do universo só pode ter sido origem segundo o plano de um ser que tudo sabe e tudo pode. Isso fica sendo a minha última e mais elevada descoberta. Considero as escrituras de Deus como sendo a filosofia mais sublime. Eu encontro mais marcas de autenticidade na Bíblia do que em qualquer história profana, seja qual for. Galileu Galilei: a ciência humana de maneira nenhuma nega a existência de Deus. Quando considero quantas e quão maravilhosas coisas o homem compreende, pesquisa e consegue realizar, então reconheço claramente que o espírito humano é a obra de Deus e a mais notável. A matemática é o alfabeto com o qual Deus escreveu o universo. Deus não faz milagres para convencer os ateus. Suas obras cotidianas bastam. Francis Bacon.
Veja o que diz Francis Collins, o geneticista que foi diretor do projeto Genoma Humano e um dos responsáveis por um feito espetacular da ciência moderna, o mapeamento do DNA humano, em 2001, trabalhando no que há de mais moderno em torno do estudo da DNA, o código da vida.
To faith. Well, first, as an adult, I walked very far away from faith. I went from being sort of vaguely interested, but not really, to becoming an atheist. As a scientist studying physical chemistry, quantum mechanics, I became convinced that everything about the universe could be described by equations.
So what changed that for you?
Well, I changed my life plan from physical science to medicine. And when I went to medical school, the ideas about death and dying, which had been rather hypothetical, became very real. You can't be in that environment, sitting at the bedside of people who are facing the end of their lives, without having it affect you.
Did you set out to find God or to find that there was no God?
I set out to prove that my atheist position was correct. I set out to try to find out what really were the rigorous arguments that I assumed were there that would rule out any possibility of God for a thinking person.
You must have found many of them.
I found some. Many of them were ones I had cooked up in my own mind. But the harder I looked at them, the flimsier they were. All of us human beings have a sense that there is such a thing as right and there's such a thing as wrong. What a curious thing. Where does that come from? If you were looking for evidence of a God who cares about human beings, not just a God who started the universe in motion and then wandered off somewhere else, wouldn't this be an interesting place to find him? Basically as something written within our hearts, universally in humankind, making us different from other species, and calling us to be good and holy, pointing us as a signpost, if you will, towards something outside ourselves that is much more good and much more holy than we can imagine.
Para finalizar, assista esse breve trecho do discurso de John Lennox, um matemático inglês que leciona na Universidade de Oxford e é um dos maiores defensores do criacionismo atualmente.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I believe in God. I believe in the supernatural God who created the heavens and the earth. I believe in a God who holds the heavens and the earth in existence. I believe that on the basis of rational evidence, similar to the beliefs held by the founders of this house, who gave this university the motto Dominus Illuminatio Mea. They saw no contradiction between faith in God and the utmost excellence in rational inquiry. And if I dare mention my alma mater of Cambridge in this holy place, I would remind you that on the door of the Cavendish Laboratory in Cambridge are written the words, "Great are the works of the Lord, studied by all who delight in them." And as we look at the rise of science in the 16th and 17th centuries, Alfred North Whitehead and many others commented that men became scientific because they expected law in nature, and they expected law in nature because they believed in a lawgiver. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not ashamed of being both a scientist and a Christian, because arguably Christianity gave me my subject. What I am amazed at is that serious thinkers today continue to ask us to choose between God and science. That's like asking people to choose between Henry Ford and engineering as an explanation of the motor car. When Newton discovered his law of gravity, he didn't say, "I've got a law, I don't need God." No, he wrote the Principia Mathematica, arguably the greatest work in the whole history of science, because he saw that God is not the same kind of explanation as a scientific explanation. God doesn't compete. Agency does not compete with mechanism and law. Why is there something rather than nothing? Alan Sandage, the brilliant cosmologist who became a Christian in his 50s, said God is the answer to that question. But people are now so desperate to show that the universe created itself from nothing, which seems to me to be an immediate oxymoron. If I say X created Y, I'm assuming the existence of X to explain the existence of Y. If I say X created X, I'm assuming the existence of X to explain the existence of X, which simply shows that nonsense remains nonsense even if high-powered scientists utter it. It reminds me a little bit of G.K. Chesterton, who said, "It is absurd to complain that it is unthinkable for an unthinkable God to make everything out of nothing, and then to pretend that it is more thinkable that nothing should turn itself into everything." The heavens declare the glory of God, says the ancient psalm. The heavens declare the glory of God.
Depois de tudo isso, concluímos. Crer na Bíblia não é coisa de gente que ignora a razão e a ciência, pois, como vimos, muitos cientistas creram e ainda creem em Deus, no Deus da Bíblia. Portanto, acreditar ou não em Deus é uma questão de fé. Precisa de fé para crer e também para não crer, pois não há provas para nenhuma dessas afirmações. E isso está totalmente de acordo com a Bíblia, que diz: "Pela fé entendemos que o universo foi formado pela palavra de Deus, de modo que aquilo que se vê não foi feito do que é visível." Hebreus capítulo 11, versículo 3.